the disciples had a request for Jesus. Do you remember what was the request? They said, Lord, teach us how to pray. And Jesus made the most out of the opportunity, and he made a beautiful catechesis about prayer. He taught them to pray the Our Father. He offered them a parable about a friend who knocks the door at midnight to remind us that prayer must be persistent and consistent. And then Jesus also offered some mysterious words. Ask and you will receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened. This present Sunday, someone also comes with a request to the Lord. Last Sunday they said, teach us how to pray. This time they said, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me. And this gave the occasion to our Lord to give us a beautiful catechesis on greed and how we ought to use our treasure and our money. So today, brothers and sisters, in this homily, I want you to reflect with me about the parable that Jesus offers us, about the man who had an abundant harvest. Because I think that this man makes two very crucial and dangerous mistakes that I think we ought to learn from so we avoid those mistakes ourselves. This man in the parable makes two mistakes regarding his money that we ought to learn ourselves too to avoid this mistake. What's the first mistake? The man, once he has this abundant harvest, he starts discussing with himself about what he ought to do with the excess grain that he has. And he arrives to the conclusion that he must tear down his barns and do new barns. But you know what's the mistake in his reasoning? That he never wonders what are the needs of his neighbors, of his family, of his church. When he has an excess harvest, he's only thinking about himself. And the problem is that he becomes blind to the needs of those around him. And this topic of blindness to the needs is a recurrent topic in the Gospel of Luke. Let me point out two other moments where we see the same problem. Do you remember the parable of the Good Samaritan? The Levite and the priest, they see the man who was robbed, but the text says they decided to go on the other way of the road as if not seeing him. And the other great parable is about a man who had a lot of money and offered great banquets every day. But there was a man at the door of his house whose name was Lazarus. And he was so poor that a dog licked his wounds. But the wealthy man was also blind to the need of his neighbors. So once again, Luke offers us a parable where the same topic arises. He's telling us the problem with this wealthy man with an abundant harvest was that he became blind and oblivious to the needs of those around him. And that's why Jesus says, beware with only hoarding treasure for yourself in this world instead of hoarding treasure in the next world for God. So parents, I want to give you a very concrete encouragement. Back in Minnesota, where I serve in my parish, there's a very endearing family that has 6 young boys. They're all redheads, almost all of them. And these boys, I hire them so that they can do the lawn and the landscape at our house. So when I need the lawn, I text the mom and I said, I need to get the lawn done. And she says, I'm sending the troops. So all the kids come in, and we've arranged for a fairly modest wage because we're small. But their mom has taught them that no matter how small the wage is that they receive, 10% goes to the church. So even these small kids with a very modest wage, they've already been trained by their mom to be awake to the needs of the church. So what the mom is teaching them is, always be awake to the needs of those around you, and beware with hoarding the treasure to yourself, being blind to the needs of those who are around you. So then the question is, are you certain that you're awake enough to the needs of those around you? Are you being generous enough with your money in sharing it with those in the church, in your family, those who are in need? Remember, brothers and sisters, we only truly possess what we give away. But what we keep to ourselves, that's what we lose. What's the second mistake of the man in the parable? With this I finish. The man, once he's had this amazing harvest, he tells himself, now I can live in peace for many, many years. He believes the money guarantees his future, and that he can be peaceful and restful because his life is insured for many years to come. Grave mistake. What is the grave mistake? To believe that our future is insured. To believe that we can live for many years. Rather, true wisdom is the wisdom that reminds us that the only certainty that we have is the certainty of the present moment. So I want to give parents here a second encouragement, very much in accordance with scriptures. Teach your family always, when they speak about the future, to say God willing, God first, if God allows. For example, if your kids are speaking about what they're going to do after school, going to college, teach them to say God willing. If kids are speaking about what they're going to do 3 months from now, teach them to say God willing. Because it is foolish to think that the future is guaranteed. Rather, true wisdom shows us that the only thing that's certain is the present moment. There's a beautiful saying that I've heard back in Peru, and the saying goes like this: if you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans. Because you never know what's going to happen. And that's why it is so much in accordance with wisdom to always speak about the future, saying, if God allows. So brothers and sisters, let me finish with this. What are the two teachings from today? The first teaching is, don't close your eyes to the needs around you. If you have something to share, if there's some money additional in your life, any spare money, don't be only thinking about yourself and your own interest. Remember that you ought to make a treasure in heaven, but that treasure in heaven is only incremented the more on this earth you're open to the needs of the church, of your neighbors, of your family. And the second teaching is, don't be thinking too much about the future. Don't be doing excessive plans. Don't be speaking with too much certainty about what is to come. Because true wisdom reminds us that the only certainty is the present. Let's bring these two teachings together. What is the point of accumulating for the future if you don't know what's coming in the future? Obviously, we have to have some provisions for the future. But the gospel is teaching us, rather than hoarding for the future, remember that the only thing that you truly can hold on to is the present, and for that, be generous. Let us ask the Lord that this week we could face our life with more generosity, with more wisdom, understanding that we truly possess only what we give away.